Welcome, everyone, to the Business of Fashion. Are we live, Aditi? Yes? Yes. Perfect. Well, welcome, everyone. We'll wait about 1 second just to let some people kind of flow into the stream. But I want to welcome everyone to the 11th Annual Fashion Week Columbus. I am Lubna. I'm the founder of Moda Brand Development and the board president for the Columbus Fashion Council, which is the mother of Fashion Week Columbus, our flagship program. This is our 11th year presenting Fashion Week. And as you all know, we're a 501c3, a nonprofit organization. And in our 11th year, we have fundraised over $30,000 worth of scholarships to fashion design students, and we have showcased over 1,000 runway shows over the last 11 years. So it's been a very exciting time for us. We're super excited to welcome a very prestigious panel of amazing industry professionals tonight. And we'll just kind of go ahead and jump in it. We've had an amazing week of events. This is sort of the eve of the finale show. Tomorrow is our runway show. As you know, with COVID, so much of our events have turned into virtual, which have afforded a lot of different people around the world to be able to stream in, which is really exciting. But if you want to be able to watch Fashion Week's finale tomorrow, head over to fashionweekcolumbus.org and get that virtual ticket. It's $50 and you can watch it anywhere in the world. And then if you're in Columbus, you can drive over to the Easton Drive-In at 8 p.m. and watch it on the huge live stream. So it's going to be amazing. We're super excited for the opportunity to work with Easton on this. And we want to thank Spice Age for hosting our stream tonight. Thank you so much, Aditi and Spice Age. Let's just jump in. I want to welcome our amazing panel. We have got Stevie Boy, our headline designer for Fashion Week. This is his second time around in Columbus. I have Gary Jones of Jones Select, a custom clother founded here in Columbus. And we're so excited Gary is back on the runway conversation and then back in the Fashion Week family. We're so pumped to have you here. Lavelle Stillwell, he is the creative mind behind Madison USA and Layer Official. We're super pumped to have a Columbus native also as part of our panel tonight. And Genoveva Kristoff is a haute couture designer founded here in Columbus, Ohio, almost 10-year brand, and we're just going to jump right in. We specifically asked each of you to be a part of our conversation tonight because we wanted to talk about the business side. Everybody thinks runway, everybody thinks luxury. They don't talk about the tough stuff, right? They don't talk about identifying your target market. They don't talk about the manufacturing woes of importing your piece goods and how to actually finish it as a finished good to take it to your customers. Nobody talks about the real challenges in the industry. So for those tuning in, welcome. You're going to learn a lot tonight. We've got some really interesting conversations set. I'd love to jump in with Stevie if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll go from there.
Well, I'm Stevie Boy. I'm 31. I'm a fashion designer. I'm known for, designing some pretty outrageous fashion pieces. I'm basically a walking editorial, if you will. I do know how to do ready to wear, but that's not really what I like to promote. I like people sometimes to go to my website and randomly see it and be shocked by it. They're like, wait, he does that too? But this is more of like my stilo. This is what gets attention to my brand. So that's just a little about me.
Amazing. We're so happy to have you, Stevie. I know the first time you came to Columbus, you showed a very different collection.
Yeah.
And so tomorrow we're going to see something quite spectacular. I know you design while you travel. And so you've got a lot of custom pieces I know you were working on this week for some of your celebrity designers or your celebrity clients. And we're going to see some of that tomorrow, I think, right?
Yeah, I'm actually looking at them right now. I was working on them before I got on here.
Are you allowed to show us a preview?
I can't move.
Yeah, don't
No, I'm
move.
like mad serious. I really can't.
You can sneak one in a little later. You can be
Yeah,
like,
I will.
Okay.
I'll ask Lamar. He's sitting right there. He's producing.
Lamar's going to be like, yelling at me later for asking that question.
No, he's literally grabbing it.
Oh, he's like hiding it, putting it in the other room. So Gary, tell us a little bit about how you got started in the industry with your clothing business.
Got started 2011. and just kind of stumbled into it. My mentors were men that wore clothing and took care of their family, and I kind of just stumbled into it and really started studying a couple of tailors. One was in LA, the other one was out of DC, and just kind of started my path. And when my son was born, I knew he was going to do what I did and not what I said. So I just kind of started a brand and was blessed to do a show in Phoenix, and then came back and did some stuff in Columbus and start building my base and start traveling from there.
That's amazing. And you've done a lot of activations within our community. I know you've really taken that as sort of a personal enterprise for yourself to really give back to young men in our community with some of the clothing and My Brother's Closet and all of that. So we're going to get into that a little bit tonight, because I think that's a very unique arm of your business that you have made quite important for your whole enterprise. So I think that's very, very noble, especially now. So we'll get back into that. Oh, Tommy's saying we miss Gary from the Fashion Week runway. So you've got some fans. You got to come back.
It's been a while.
Yeah. So Lavelle, I'd love for our audience to hear from you. You are kind of new to the Fashion Week family. We met last year when I think we met publicly somewhere, and then I came to Madison, USA, and started learning a lot about just the creative mind that you are and just the inspiring type of personality that you really bring to every conversation that you're in. You've definitely inspired me in the last year. So I'd love for our audience to hear a little bit about how you got started and what you're doing now with Madison.
Yeah, so my start was kind of unconventional. I kind of came up in nightlife, and that led to me like sneaking into like Fashion Week parties. And then you fast forward to Columbus. Madison, USA was getting ready to open up in 2017, and that's kind of when I started working in fashion. And they were looking for someone to produce their grand opening after party. And then from there, that led to a relationship where I was, working with the store on special events, and then it led to me becoming the manager, handling e-commerce, then doing marketing for the store, and then assisting with buying. And so that's kind of where, I got my start. I'm relatively new. Like I said, I got welcomed into the fashion scene in 2017, but now I'm currently working with a brand, Layer Official. And we've only been running for about a month or so, but we had a very successful pop-up in Cleveland, Ohio. And we're able to mail some clothes to LeBron James while he's in the bubble playing in the playoffs currently. And we created some one-of-one pieces for him to wear. And the reception has been really well. And we recently just did a successful pop-up too at the Moxie Hotel, where I'm broadcasting at live today.
Amazing. That's awesome. I know I missed the pop-up. I was so bummed, the one in Columbus. I was traveling, but I went online and got a little bit of Layer Official myself. So
Yes, I saw your order come through. Thank you.
Thank you. So Genoveva, you obviously are very well known in Columbus. I don't know if you actually launched your brand on the Fashion Week stage a few years ago, or if it was maybe a couple years into your brand that you launched with us. But tell us a little bit about your brand and what you really love about Fashion Week in general.
So actually, my first line I showcased at Fashion Week Columbus 2011. So I haven't launched my brand yet. But one of the members of Fashion Week Columbus invited me. So I didn't have plans to establish brands. I just wanted to have fun and showcase, new designs. And everything went from there. I think I spent a lot of time on my first collection. I was very excited. It was my first collection. And I think after that, I think everything went very well, and I got a lot of attention from the first collection. So that's how it all started. So next year I started my own label that carry my name, Genoveva Kristoff LLC. So Genoveva Kristoff is a luxury brand. It's offering fashion forward and exquisite women's apparel and accessory line. So every collection is made of finest of fabrics and materials, and most of them designs are elaborated with laser cuts. And each piece is created with attention to detail and unique design.
I remember that collection.
Mm-hmm.
I love that collection. That was like the blues and the teals and the super contrast.
Yes. I think that's actually last collection I showcased in Fashion Columbus. The first collection, there was a lot of couture details, a lot of handwork, a lot of little ruffles.
I love
Yes.
that. Oh,
Mhm.
big
And then,
on the
and
top.
then slowly a little bit, I think, transition into more ready to wear. That's how.
I love it. Oh, see, she says,
you.
I need Genoveva's top. I know, me too. That's my favorite top. I saw it a few weeks ago and I was like, I love it. So thank you for your brief intros. That was so wonderful to hear from you, really kind of where you started and it's really sets the stage for our conversation tonight. So Stevie.
And also, sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. I'm also thank you, Fashion Columbus, for giving me the opportunity like a long time ago. It's always fun to be part of Fashion Columbus. And what they do for the new designer is amazing. So thank you.
Thank you. I think you and I showed, that was when I was still designing, but you and I showed the same year, a few years ago.
Yes, once or twice, maybe 2 years in a row, actually.
Maybe. Oh, Tommy. So for those that don't know, Tommy's our founder and executive director for Fashion Week, and he's built an incredible team that has really pivoted. We talked about this at our board meeting last night, but really pivoted so much this year to really make it happen so that we weren't just, shutting down because the world shut down, Yes, she was a judge on our designer casting. She was awesome. So let's jump back to Stevie for a second. For those watching, Stevie has a very unique way to design and cater to his customer base. And I know your customer base kind of expands because every year you have a different theme to your collections.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about maybe how you choose your themes and then what that really means for how your customers are responding to that. Are they changing? Is it the same people shopping year over year? What can you tell us a little bit about your target demo?
I'll be really honest. I have like a cult fan base. And I just want to say, with regards to what Lavelle said, in regards to him like sneaking into, because I grew up in the New York scene as well, like sneaking into like the club party scenes. That's what I used to do as well by the tender age of 15 years old. And
Wow.
I met a lot of people. That's the reason why I know so many people. But I think honestly, I just created my own cult following. And then it didn't really matter at that point. You know how like Travis Scott has like his own, like, it's like a very like serious fan base. I have that too. So I never really had to prove to myself that I have to stop what I'm doing and do luxury, but I did do that and it failed miserably because I was trying to be something that I wasn't way too early in my career without the experience. So I can just pretty much do what I want as long as I stay true to me challenging myself within the fashion industry. I can't like be stagnant. And I've done that too. That didn't work out so well. Meaning using the same aesthetics over and over again. My brand is all about being edgy and fearless, which sounds so cheesy, but when people actually put my product on, they actually become like really fearless and like superhero-ish and interesting. So I just go with that brand messaging. The reason why it expands is because I'm really good at talking to people. I know how to network really, really well, and which jumps back to what Lavelle said in regards to getting those good networking skills in the club. But that helps because that's the reason why I'm able to tour. Unfortunately, we're in a pandemic, but prior to this, for the past 10 years of me running this business, I was able to tour all these countries, 20 plus countries a year, sometimes even more, depending on, what I was able to do in the nightclub and who I was able to meet or, say, oh, let's have coffee the next day. I have an idea. I didn't have an idea. I just knew like I had to come up with something quick. But my business skills are really good because I always realize like being an artist is great and everything, but being a business person is first, and then being an artist second, and then everything equals out. 1 + 1 = 2 is basically what I'm saying. And yeah, if that makes any sense. I swear I'm not trying to speak in code. I swear. I'm really trying to give advice here.
I think we could all agree to that to some degree. It's like you live and you learn, right? And building a business is really, I hate to say, but it's kind of trial and error. As long as you have integrity in everything that you do, you really are just kind of shooting and seeing what sticks. And so there's some things, there's a lot of business owners we work with that, they have really successful lines or they have really successful endeavors that they kind of stumbled into, whereas others are very intentional. And then that one intention is probably the thing that didn't succeed. Whereas the thing they stumbled into, which as Gary will tell us here in a second, became a very lucrative business, a very successful national business. So Gary, tell us a little bit about that. I mean, I know you work with all different types of clientele, corporate, professional athletes, a lot of nonprofits. Tell us a little bit about your customer. You can talk specifics or in generalities, but tell us a little bit about, I know with the clother business, it's a little different. So what can you share with us tonight that kind of identifies your customer a little bit?
I would just say a lot of it is about authenticity. So I was a person that grew up in a neighborhood, grew up playing sports and was local. And once I started to understand my industry, fabrics, cut, material, I really just shared education. And then the environments from networking continue to open up. So my customer is typically a person that's a young professional aspiring to fit in a room, or somebody that's trying to stand out or trying to prove a point, right? And they're looking for their style. And I always say style sometimes is 20s, you dress a certain way, 30s, you dress a certain way. Now I'm 41, right? So like I'm very comfortable and different with who I am as a person. And so sometimes you just have to find it. And so I really enjoy talking about what they're trying to do, where their job aspirations are, and then kind of just continue to grow with my customer.
That's awesome. And do you do a lot of promotion and marketing for the business, or how do people find out about it?
Honestly, my business has always been word of mouth, and it's always just, you cut a good suit, you're going to get a phone call. So walking advertisement, somebody's going to see it, somebody will comment. So I'm not great at hashtagging and all of that, but the great part is that if you make a good suit, you make somebody feel good in something, and you do enough weddings, and have a real relationship. So a lot of times I work with people and never post a picture because I'd rather be able to send a text message.
That's right.
Yeah.
But your walking billboard is your customer, as you said, right? So they're going around and they're talking about, wow, you look fly in your suit. Where did you get that? Right?
Yeah. Less talk, more work. Yeah.
That's right. Show it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So Lavelle, tell us a little bit about the Madison and the layered Target demo. Is it the same? Is it different? What can you share with us about how you're targeting your customers? Because listen, I was at brunch last weekend at Fireproof, and I think I saw maybe 20 people wearing Layer Official, and that just launched 30, 40 days ago. So I'm like, how did that happen? It's all over Columbus.
Yeah, 20, 30, 40 days ago. And then the pop-up, the week before. But I just want to go back to what Stevie said. Like, you hit the nail on the head. It's about listening to the customer, being true to yourself, and also finding that balance to, be timeless, so you can transcend the years and the time. And also, just going back to being true to yourself, like, what infinities do you enjoy? And for me, it's, it's anime, it's sports, it's, hip hop, current and old school. And then, sharing that, with the customer, like, what did we all grow up on, or what are our interests now? And then can you tell that story through the clothing? And I kind of let the clothing, tell the story. And then with me having that background, in nightlife and event production, I'm able to throw a hell of a pop-up. So going back to the Moxie, which was the week before brunch last week, it was, very guerrilla marketing-esque with the pop-up a few days before we announced it. I was able to, get Columbus out. And that's through, me doing events in the past, but then also my repertoire at Madison. And then, what people saw before prior with Layer this past month, LeBron James wearing it in the bubble, Fabulous wearing it on Instagram, Emery Jones, the head of Rock Nation, wearing the brand. So it's, sharing those infinities with your customer, and then, telling that story through the clothing, through your editorials, through your photo shoot and lookbooks, and just being true to yourself.
That's right. That's amazing. I mean, and kind of going back to the pop-up, how did you get the word out so quickly and have so many people there?
I'm going to be honest, man. Social media is a cheat code. I don't have the biggest following per se, but I have a very loyal and cultish fan base, like what Stevie touched on earlier. It's very cultish, very tribal, and I'm always out. I don't think social media, gives us enough justice, but if you're out in the streets enough and you keep your ear to the streets and you're on the cusp of things, then you will get everything that you're looking for in terms of, the right customer, key audiences, and then, people, wearing and respecting your brand. I
love it. That's so true. And I'd love to hear more about this engaged audience of yours, because I think I saw them at brunch. I really did. They were all like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm in a Layer commercial.
And then, unfortunately, I missed you at brunch, but I arrived later on because I knew that the people that were wearing my brand, they support me. So it was, I came in from Cleveland literally that morning and then got straight to brunch because I owed them that favor. And that's what it's all about, being true and, supporting others the way that they support you.
I love it. I love it. So I think before I go to Genoveva, I think, Lavelle, you got to meet Stevie tomorrow because you have a lot, I think, to share.
Oh, no, definitely.
Definitely. Absolutely. I agree.
I'll take you backstage and you can meet Stevie at some point because Lavelle is one of our guests during the show. So, so Genoveva, tell us a little bit more about how you target your customer and who is she? Because when you started, and we've seen some of your models. I don't know, Aditi, if you want to throw up some of her pieces there, but you went from, I remember the collection being very trend forward, very simplistic, but very high quality materials, and very accentuating of the ladies' curves. So like, is this your customer? Did you kind of reach her? And did you kind of target her based off of this collection? Or did you say, I love this look, let's just see who shops it?
When I started, I wasn't thinking so much about what customer, but how I was evolving as a designer. I was asking those questions. Who is she? What she will wear? Where she's going? What motivates her to purchase? What's her lifestyle? her interest. So I had to answer all these questions and kind of I shift my collection to fit my customer. So who is my customer? Genoveva Kristoff customer is a woman who is fashion savvy. She's possibly a young mother. She's always busy, always on the go. She travels regularly. She's intelligent, educated, sophisticated, and outgoing. So I believe that my collections are reflecting my customer. They're kind of sophisticated, elegant, with an edge. I use materials, they're luxurious and, high quality. So I think also I'm trying to align my visual story together with my designs. So I'm trying, the images I'm using, the videos, the website, so everything I believe need to reflect your customer, who is she and what she wants to be in, in the future.
Yeah, I love her. I love your customer. I want to be her friend. I'm like, I want to travel with her. I want to hang out with her kids. Like, she just sounds like a really dope person.
Well, you're my customer. You're my inspiration.
You're so sweet. I personally loved everything that you've ever designed. And I really mean that. I feel it's very sophisticated. I feel the design work is extremely elevated. The construction is on point. And I want that top and I want that one skirt that you know which one I'm talking about. So we'll talk later and I want to custom order both of those.
Sure, absolutely.
So this is a wonderful segue into just your production and how each of you, whether you're sourcing materials from overseas or whether you are using domestic production, where are you getting your fabrics, your textiles, and then where are you getting it made? And have you really, if it's relevant to your brand, have you tried to manufacture in the U.S.? Stevie, I know for you it's a lot of handmade products. So what do you? How would you share that?
Well, with the sunglasses, I work with different people. I have sunglasses made in Oregon, Portland, Oregon. I have sunglasses made in Italy. I have sunglasses made back home in Germany. But that's the sunglasses aspect. And I also, work with China throughout the years. But with my clothing, that's where it gets crazy because I do a lot of custom fabrics. So I do majority of the custom fabric, actually, believe it or not, here in America, throughout America in New York City. I work with just multiple different companies in New Jersey. So I'll come out for design, or I don't know how to draw. All these years I've been designing, I have not drawn not one thing. So don't ask me to. But I ask my best friend or somebody to draw something for me. And I'm like, oh, that's cute. I like that. Ooh. And then I'll have it printed onto a sample. And then I'll get it, shipped to me. We'll approve it. and then we'll send it, and then I'll just sit in my studio and just sew the clothing. I make the samples myself from scratch. I don't have a manufacturer doing everything unless I want it to be something I want to be either put in like my friend's boutique or a store or something like that. But usually I do everything, like I said, one of a kind, just like my sunglasses. So it's the same exact way I do my clothes. I just make them one of a kind. You get it, you get it. You don't, you don't. Because I've been through the whole luxury thing, like I said before, where I made the luxury sunglasses. I made like 10,000 of them, and they were taking years to sell. And I was like, this is pointless. Like, how do designers, how do they do this? I'm not doing this. So I just stuck with my number one mantra is just make one of a kind pieces, and it sells out. It sells out.
So when you dressed Elton John and you worked with Elton John, what did you dress Elton John in? Was it sunglasses or what was it?
I didn't dress him. I dressed his face. That was about it. I made him a pair of sunglasses that was matching a costume that he did for a private party in Paris. And kids are going to be watching this. Let's just say that there were things on the sunglasses that some adults do.
Okay. So it was very...
Y'all saw I put cigarettes on sunglasses, so...
Okay.
So just go along. People with addiction things were on the sunglasses, but that was the whole point. It was like a thing about like drug abuse or whatever. So it was a charity, okay? It was for the kids. I don't know.
So did he tell you kind of what the theme and his vibe was, and you kind of just decided to that, or okay?
Yeah, for some strange reason, like I always had the opportunity where people just tell me like, "Oh, Stevie, this is a theme," and they just let me do what I want. Usually, like I've watched my other designer friends, especially in New York, they get these big opportunities and they like are stressed out because they're like they want this, they want that. I'm like, oh, well.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure when you're, dealing with that that magnitude of a celebrity. But at the same time, like for me, like what I do is you'll ask me for one thing and I'll end up sending you 5 just so like you'll be satisfied. So you can't send anything back to me. And if you do, then I'm like, oh, you being a diva.
Also, I think the vocabulary of a designer versus a consumer are very different. It's like when somebody says, oh, I want it to look avant-garde. Avant-garde could mean something completely different to your customer because you as a designer see it as maybe on the technical side, or you see it as a, 1940s avant-garde versus 1990s avant-garde.
I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Ooh, education lesson.
Right?
Because my avant-garde is just dark.
Yeah.
Gareth Pugh, out there.
The
Alexander McQueen.
design language. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have a comment here. You said that Darren, hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly. That gave me inspiration. I cannot draw, but can envision the design and how I want women to look. I feel like that's really common, a common sentiment with people that are inspired to design, and that you can visualize it and you can, you can see it, but you don't know how to execute it. And that's really hard. There's a lot of people that go to school for 4 or 5 years, and they still don't really know how to like really bring a design to life. They know the technical side. And so with experience comes communication knowledge, right? Would you agree with that?
Who, me?
Yes.
Yes, amen. No, I do, because like I really don't know how to draw, and I try, and it's just horrible. I really can't even sign my own signature as well as I want to. So, like I'm a work in progress. It took me forever, like 31 years, but look, I'm getting there.
You've only been on the international stage with every huge celebrity in the world, but here we are.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I can't draw, because they're distracting me.
Just tell them to call me, and then we'll just tell them to hang on. No worries.
That part.
We got you. So Gary, what can you share about, I know you work with a lot of very premium textiles. We share a friend who recently saw a lot of your fabric collection and was sharing how amazing some of the new imports you're bringing in. So what are some of those, where are you bringing that? Do you design any of the textile, or are you kind of choosing from the trends? What can you share some of that?
Honestly, I've always been a person to love classic things. And like I said, as I evolve personally, my introspection of always looking at fashion from every perspective, I've always had my own style. But I also have relationships with mills all over the world. So whether it's Loro Piana in Italy or Dorme or Scabal, I've always kind of just fell in love with like just good handing, good material, good quality, longevity. the weights, the ounces, the cuts, and things of that nature. And so I never really got into like necessarily the custom fabric because how I was trained was more as a wardrobe person, which is based on flexibility, right? And then long-term class. So you'll have, navy and grays and, blacks and things like that, because a lot of the times I'm dressing businessmen. And then the athletes obviously want things over the top sometime when they're full of personality. And so I kind of just rested in that space and just own that. So a lot of the, sourcing again is just really finding a meal or relationship that you really, when I find I enjoy them, like I pretty much wear Italian or, it's pretty much what I like the best, and England next, and then Australia after that. So I really talk to the things that I enjoy. And typically the average person will enjoy it if they've never wore luxury. And you just kind of start from there.
I love that. I wonder, are there really any well-known US-based textile designers that you know of or maybe have worked with? Maybe the fabric is made here.
There's one in New York, and there was a longer fashion mill. I can't remember the name right now. I didn't use them very often, but it's based in New York, and they were kind of kickstarting the brand again. They had a pretty good product, but Italy to me is always going to be my favorite.
But it's the best of the best, right? That's amazing.
Italy is pretty good.
Oh, I think we lost Gary. So Aditi, if you see him, we'll just kick him back in here whenever he logs back in. But we can jump over to Lavelle. I know with your new product development project and business with Layer. I mean, what can you share with us about some of that? I should have brought my hat that I just recently bought. But I love your woven label on the inside. I love the hang tag you used. I think you took a very simple embroidered product and you elevated it with these little details that make you feel like that $50 is worth it, right? And so what can you share with us about your sourcing?
Yeah, that goes back to like the art of storytelling, but I also want to go back and tell two sides of what I worked on in the fashion industry. And so, I ran a retail store, Madison, USA. And for us, we were bringing in a lot of powerhouse streetwear brands. Like we were the first store to ever bring in Comme des Garçons in Columbus, Ohio. We were able to bring in Subi out of Australia. We were recently gearing up to bring in Rick Owens, Helmut Lang. But unfortunately, all of that was put on a standstill at the moment due to COVID. And then now recently, I'm working with Layer Official. Oh, let me go back again with Madison. And so with all of our production, we produced all of it in the Midwest. We were trying to build up like this Midwest pipeline for clothing production and printables. And and here's a picture of us here putting together like a pop-up. But so for us, like we're focusing on building the Midwest, the Midwest hub. So just creating a pipeline from Columbus to Chicago, and then selling it in store. And then recently with Layer Official, I've been very hands-on as a creative director, helping design like our printables, but then also ushering in cut and sew this fall winter. And so that was pretty crazy because right now we're dealing with COVID, and we had to fly in our designer and pattern developer from New York to Cleveland, and then work on that for a few days in Columbus. And so for us, we have to be very articulate and be able to communicate exactly what we want due to, the current pandemic that we're in. It's not like we can just, hop on a plane and go to New York and work directly with the pattern developer and the designer for the cut and sew.
Yeah. And do you feel like, I know COVID has created a lot of challenges with just product development in general. We see it with a lot of our Moda brands, is that, if piece goods coming in, it might have just gotten stuck and it's not here, right? And because we work a year in advance for collections, it's like, if it's not here in the spring, or if it didn't get here in June, we don't have anything to work with next summer because we're a year ahead. And so a lot of brands are talking about, what am I going to do next fall? It's not like what's going on today. It's what's going to happen a year from now, right? So COVID has affected fashion and importing for maybe 2.5 years to come.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and that shut down like all of our imports for Madison, USA. All the brands that we were looking to get, this past spring, summer, like even like Capital Country out of Japan,
Mm-hmm.
like the list just goes on. It just put a standstill on everything, unfortunately.
And how do you find those brands? Is it just you just like them and you contact them, or do they contact you?
So we listen to the customer. We talk to the youth a lot to see what they're into, because honestly, you can learn a lot more from the kids than you can like anything else. You just gotta, open up your ears and see what they're into, because, they're going to be in our shoes one day doing the same thing that we're doing.
That's
so listening to the kids, and then also what our interest is. And then, like we said, being true to ourselves, and then, really, taking like a risk, forecasting to see, what the trend will be for the future.
I love that. And I love how everybody's masking up in C-Bus. That's
me partially. I'm sorry. But a little bit there.
Hey, we do what we can, right? So Genoveva, what about you? I know you use really premium fabrics, and you have a very, very, very customized way of how you create your patterns and your actual product itself. And I know you're very particular about how you roll all of that out. So what are, I guess, where are you importing some of that material from? Are you going to New York? Are you bringing it from overseas? And then are you pre-positioning a lot of yardage, or are you just kind of finding a decent supplier that can secure your supply over time?
So in the past, I was always purchasing my fabric from a New York store. The New York store, they sell luxury fabric from around the world. They have a lot of fabrics from Italy, from other countries from Europe, and from other countries around the world. Mm-hmm. But last year I went to a trade show. I think it was called Premier Vision trade show. Yes, it was wonderful. And I got a lot of contacts, and I made contacts with a lot of suppliers from different countries, beautiful fabrics. So I'm looking forward to using my next collections. Otherwise, Genoveva designs are made to order, but the jewelry is the jewelry and the laser cut of the clothing and the handbags is made with a laser cut company called Conus Laser Group.
Nice. That's my shirt.
So, for the, I had to kind of made the very detailed drawing on Illustrator from the laser cut, and then sent to the laser cut company, and they cut the leather. You also have to be specific about the position and where it's supposed to be the laser cut. Previously, I didn't have experience with working with other factories except for the laser cut company, and I was a little bit terrified to work with a factory because I didn't know what's the process, it's just terrifying. So I found actually a few years ago, I took another job in a small company with aim to learn more, and I gained a very valuable experience. I work with Chinese and Italian factories on a daily basis. So now I'm kind of feel ready to apply that on my brand.
Absolutely.
So then my vision for GC is to be ready to wear. And I would definitely like to work with New York factories, with USA.
That's amazing. I want to mention one thing I think that you did very uniquely in the last couple of years is you did a collaboration, or was it on the Pepsi stage that you showcased in New York? Tell us a little bit about Genoveva Kristoff for Pepsi.
Yeah, so I was invited, me and 3 other designers from USA were handpicked by that Pepsi to showcase a few looks at the Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week at Lincoln Center. That was part of the fashion show. It was called that Pepsi Style Studio Show. So the fashion show was presented by Simon Tunan. I'm not sure if you know him. He is a creative ambassador of Barney's. And that show was beautiful. The space was designed by Jonathan Adler. He's a very famous interior designer, decor. He designed the space with that Pepsi cans, like all the Runaway and all the seats. They were just handmade. They were beautiful. I'm not sure. I sent actual pictures. I'm not sure if they can showcase a picture by the show.
Were you able to?
Mm-hmm.
So I think some of the PDFs we weren't able to download into the stream, but if we
Mm-hmm.
can get it, she'll throw it up there.
So the show, yes. So a lot of celebrities attended the show. For example, Angela Simmons, Deborah Messing was there, Mary-Kate Olsen, Jay Alexander, Jonathan Adler, and many others. Yeah, so it was very exciting and very, very, I think it was the best experience I ever had.
I think knowing a lot of Columbus designers, we have such an influx and we're so saturated with so many custom brands or custom designers here in the city or within our area. And I think you're one of the only designers. A lot of us have showed in New York for different productions, but I think you may be the only one that actually showed with Mercedes-Benz before it all kind of went wherever it went. Which is amazing.
And can you imagine, that was after my first collection I showcased at Fashion in Columbus. So, I was just starting, and suddenly I was showcasing in the same building with so many prestigious designers. So it was very, very exciting. And scary a little bit too.
Yeah, I'm sure. You went from Columbus, Ohio, which is a developing fashion city and with so much talent. But
I just wish that happened actually right now. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No,
I think I'm more experienced. I will know more what to do. I think to use that opportunity better. But it is what it is. I'm still very grateful that happened. So.
That's incredible. That's so wonderful. Stevie, what is your favorite runway you've ever shown on? I know that wasn't on our list of questions, but maybe not your favorite, but one of your favorites, other than Fashion Week Columbus, of course.
Yeah, that part. Trying to come back. Here in America or just anywhere?
Wherever.
I'll be really honest. It was my own show that I produced, and it was for New York Fashion Week, and it was my cabin collection because that collection was very different for me. I really showcased to myself that I'm actually a designer because I didn't do the whole Stevie Boy look. Honestly, even when I look at the collection, I'm like, I did not design that. It's very, 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 very upscale, very rich woman. But like that loves to wear like faux fur, stuff like that, but likes to hike. It's a very interesting, if you look up cabin and you see the collection, that makes sense. It's very, very, very high end. And that took a lot of heads. Like I got a lot of press from that show. It was on a reality show and all that good stuff as well. But that was just a very, very challenging collection because I dealt with a lot of wool. I've never designed with wool before. A lot of like real leather, faux leather, mixing all the different types of prints and patterns. It was a very interesting and challenging collection, but it was also just the moment of it. I did it just right now, sunset. So the glow was on the skin, like everything was just really, it was magical. It was really, really magical. I think that was one of my favorite shows. And then I did the second one, I guess I would say, I know you didn't ask for a second one, but the second one would be in Dubai. And there's a backstory. I'm not going to get into that, but doing a show in Dubai, headlining Fashion Week in Dubai was pretty random and last minute. So the pressure was on me. And then you got to keep in mind the kind of designer I am. So like me doing a show in Dubai, think about it. If you know anything about my brand, you'll be like, they let him in Dubai with his stuff. I'm not talking about the edgy spikes. I'm talking about like the garments that I make. Yeah.
Oh, honey.
Yeah.
We cover up over there, but you don't know what we're wearing underneath.
I'll put it like this, Lavelle. I spent a lot of time at a club called The Box. If you know anything about New York City, know about The Box, those are the type of women that wear my clothes. I'll leave it at that.
No, I'm about to look it up.
Everyone will Google The Box later. Images.
Yeah. That's the thing. There is no images.
Oh,
It's like it's burlesque. It's a burlesque, just basically burlesque show. Yeah.
I love it. I think Aditi's going to put an image up of your cabin collection.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just, you know, the graphics for, you know, just me advertising me in the collection. Like fan made art, they always make stuff and I always utilize it. I'm like, okay, why not? I mean, I don't know how to draw once again, so let me go ahead and just utilize what you made for me. And it always works out. And I actually take what they make sometimes, and then I actually recreate the outfits, because I didn't create that outfit, but I ended up creating the outfit.
Yeah.
Including
Well,
the fur trap blazer, I think that's what it's called.
What would you say is one of the biggest challenges of, after, you know, having a show like that, and each of your collections is so very different than the one before, right? You're inspiring new fashion, you're inspiring people to kind of live their truth and express themselves through their looks. What's one of the biggest challenges within your business, would you say, as you do all these marketing shows?
Doing a show like that, and then next, so what I do is I do a theme for each year, and then I do each season. When I do New York Fashion Week or any fashion weeks, any shows around the world in the United States, doesn't matter where I'm at, I stick with my theme. Then the next year I do another theme. This theme this year is skate, you know, skateboarding, you know, 90s, you know, culture mixed with the Y2K era, you know. But I think that's the biggest challenge when you go into the next thing. Everybody expects it to get better and better, but sometimes I want to just like come down and then go back to something very simplistic. But honestly, it hasn't really been like that. It's been going from, you know, from that to something even more bizarre. Like, for example, I don't like the color pink. I don't like color at all, period. Like, you usually won't see me in color. And if you do see me in color, it's going to be like all one solid color, and I'm going to be trying to give like the Joker tease. Right. But the thing is that I like to challenge myself. So I don't like the color pink. So I decided to make a whole entire collection called Pink, just to piss my own self off and make my own self mad, just to see if I could do it. And it, unfortunately, it worked out. Just kidding. It worked out by the grace. But yeah, it worked out. But that's how I design. I just like to challenge myself.
Well, I think you grow in your career.
Can I just give a compliment to Mr. Jones here? Just so you know, like, this is all of a side. When this comes off, like makeup and stuff like that, I actually really care about like European tailored suits. Like, I really dress like a whole man, like outside of like the whole Stevie Boy persona. Like, it's like a whole thing. So I gotta holler at you. That's all. Sorry.
For sure. Let's talk.
I love that.
For sure.
I love that. Well,
Lubna, you know that we talked about that.
Oh yeah. Stevie Boy is Stevie Boy, but there's also
I turned into Stevie
I'm sure
Man.
he would kill it. I'm sure he would kill it.
So
Sure.
Gary, what can you share with you know, some of your challenges? I know you run your business very efficiently, and you're a national company. I know you're scaling, you're growing. What are some of the challenges that you see happen within your business as you you want to expand? Maybe you want to bring on more clothers, you want to bring on more reps for the company. Do you see any challenges with that, especially as you're sort of growing your nonprofit base as well?
I think the biggest thing for me was just trust. You know, like, built the brand, not really knowing I was building a brand. It was just something I was extremely interested in. It was something I had a passion for because, you know, the people around me, I felt like they were successful because they dressed a particular way. So I fell in love with that, you know, and then how, you know, women respond to that dress. I always appreciated that as well, like dressing somebody's husband, or, you know what I mean, going out looking nice and all those types of things. But the challenge is trusting somebody with your brand. You know, when you're trying to grow it, I think anything that you do is great. It has to be bigger than you. And so it has to go beyond, you know, just my story and actually run without me, which is probably the hard part, because for the first 7 or 8, even 9 years, I just enjoyed the process. But then after so long, you kind of get tired of running around, jumping through hoops, and, you know, doing all the things, putting out fires, you know, and answering all the calls, answering all the emails. And so obviously, you know, it just takes a teamwork to make a dream work. So I think the biggest challenge is really accepting that you can't do it all, and that you do have to expand and grow and allow it to actually grow on its own. So that's been kind of obviously what I've been trying to do, is continue to keep my passion for the community, which is, you know, the community I come from, to make sure I continue to serve and do different programs, as well as, you know, keeping my passion for clothing and allowing that to continue to be a stepping stone for me to build relationships.
That's amazing. I know. Oh, you have a question. Gary, what is your favorite textile to create suiting with? Thanks, Vicki.
That's a good question. I like a all season, like fabric, like an 8-ounce Vital Bear, so what we call BBC. It's like a super 110. It's just a really, really nice, clean, shark skin. It's just like really clean. I like very muted, like similar to what Stevie says. Like I like very, if I do color, it's very subtle. So like I'm probably more into gray. I mean, I'm going gray now, but gray is one of my favorite colors because it's just like it's very clean and you can do so many different things. So I like clean, basic, but I like the cut to be extremely crispy, and I like the lines to be very fitted. So that probably would be my favorite textile.
I love that. Do you ever do any women's suiting, or is it mostly men?
I get asked that all the time. It scares me. You know, like the thing about women is like I think like I've done a few jackets for women, but it's like I understand things that that most men go through. And if you ever been an athlete, you have a problem finding clothes because of shoulders or thighs or height and all of that. And women obviously have the same thing. But for me, I always like I needed help to talk me through that process. And I feel like I would have more problems with women fitting because I felt like they were a little more picky than men. So that's just true.
Yeah, we got a lot of different body types and different, going back to the whole design communication. What we want and what we say sometimes are two different things. And so that
I think that scares me.
Fashion.
Yeah, that's one of those mistakes because that cost me money. So
right. It's good to know, but when we do expand to women's, you can share it with the rest of us because you already have an audience for that. So just let us know.
For sure.
So, Lavelle, what are some challenges that you see in your business, or maybe areas of opportunity? And if there isn't any yet, because it's new and it's expanding and you're growing fast, what are some really exciting things happening in it that you're looking forward to?
Right now, everything is a challenge because we're moving at an expedited rate. So we are trying to roll out fall winter 2020 with layer. And like Stevie said, you don't draw, I don't cut, I don't sew. So I have to be very articulate and communicate all the time with our designers and pattern developers. And then, understanding like what Gary said, it's a sense of teamwork. So I'm constantly collaborating on the phone, on FaceTime, working with all different, parts of our team, every day. And so that's, one of the biggest challenges I'm dealing with. And then also, needing that timeline to roll it out and then working on spring, summer, and then trying to get caught up for fall, winter, next year. And then on the other side, working with Madison, USA, and bringing in all these unfamiliar brands to Columbus, Ohio, that was a big challenge. And then also bringing and ushering in those brands to Columbus, Ohio. Like, how do you get a Comme des Garçons on the line? How do you get Aimé Leon Dore, to recognize us in Columbus? So, going out to those places, going to see Aimé Leon Dore and the leaks and undercover in Paris Fashion Week and get invited to their showrooms and then get invited to the shows, and just making that leap to be present and fighting and knock down those doors. And then and that leads to like my next thing, I went from sneaking into the shows, sneaking into after parties, to getting invited to the showrooms, getting invited to the fashion shows. And then for me, my biggest challenge is to, unveil my runway show for later in the future. And that's, something I'm looking forward to doing.
I love that. And outside of giving me VIP front row, obviously, I got to be checked out in layer. So you have to keep us updated on launch planning and all of that. And I know that Fashion Week 1000% would love to collab with you. I know we talked about doing something special this year, but there wasn't enough time to really plan something. But I hope you'll consider, Fashion Week Columbus as one of your platforms to really launch the brand and really expand it to a new audience. Because I think what you've done is really incredible in such a short period of time. And you actually have a question. Thomas says, Lavelle, have you found internet sales to increase during COVID?
Definitely. Madison, USA, as soon as unfortunately when the pandemic hit, the community just uplifted us, first of all, in Columbus. And then I guess everybody had a lot of downtime during the pandemic. So online shopping increased and we saw a crazy influx of that. And I was wondering, how do we separate ourselves, from a Farfetch, from an Essence, and we carry the same products, but they have more sizes, more colors. But, people found a way to, to gravitate towards us. And then also the curation of the brands and the selections that we bring in as well. So that was a plus for us during the pandemic. And then also working with Layer, we were able to produce these pop-up shops that were COVID safe. You know, we took temperatures at the door, we masked up, only allowed a certain amount of people in, you know, the space at a time. And if you do things, you know, the right way, fortunately, you know, you'll be blessed, and, you know, good things will happen. And then having LeBron James wearing the brand as well helps a lot, because we saw a crazy influx of internet sales from him wearing the brand, and all the other celebrities that wear the brand as well.
That's amazing. That's amazing. What better model on social media than King James himself, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Like, oh my goodness, that's wonderful. I mean, you know, COVID has been obviously it is what it is, right? It's one of the worst things that's happened in our lifetime, but it's also created a lot of opportunities for growing businesses to develop and think creatively and expand. And this is one of those really, you know, and relative to everything else going on, it's a small win, but it's a huge win at the same time. So congratulations to you for taking on that challenge and, you know, really taking advantage of the opportunity. So we're wrapping up in the next 4 minutes or so, but Genoveva, I would love to hear from you on, I know you said that you're coming out with something new with the brand, but what's next for Genoveva Kristoff? Will we see you on the Fashion Week stage? And when am I getting my shirt is the most important.
Okay, so this year, actually, I was planning to relaunch Genoveva Kristoff designs, ready to wear. So I had my plan going on, I had strategies, I had factories aligned and sketches, but kind of it didn't seem as good decision right now with the pandemic. It didn't seem right to launch luxury line right now. So I will put a little bit hold on that. But I kind of, you know, had to evaluate everything and step back and kind of think what else I can do. So I will be, I came with a different idea, and I will be starting a fashion forward and quality activewear. It will be elevated athleisure attire, mix of fashion and fitness. So it will be fashionable, trendy, but at the same time functional. So the pieces will be transitional. The women can wear it from day to night. So I'm excited to share that. It's still kind of, you know, work in progress. So my goal is to launch probably early next year.
Amazing. Congratulations to you. I think
Thank
sometimes being a designer, taking a step back to do other things and then jumping back into the design world is really tough. And I think what you're doing is incredible. I think you taking a chance and working with another business to learn the supply chain even more, sounds to be super beneficial for you. So congratulations. Nia said, so glad that is bringing her brand back. Cannot wait. So Nia, for those that don't know, is our style director for Fashion Week. She sits on our board of directors as well. Would anybody like to share anything else tonight with our audience as we wrap up? We're gonna play our Fashion Week video to kind of finalize the evening, and thank you all for being here. But would any of our amazing panel members like to share anything else with our audience?
Yeah, me. So today I randomly got inspired while doing the fittings for the models, and I have to do additional fittings tomorrow. But actually, because I sit in the hotel room and I just make random new pieces, I actually kind of changed the direction of skate. Like, I'm really excited to just, today it was a very inspirational day, even though everyone thought it was going to take me probably like a while to like get everyone dressed. I got those models dressed like not even 5 minutes each, not even that, not less than that, but it became more inspirational because I didn't do the over like accessorizing and stuff, you know, overly doing it. And then with the newer pieces that I was making in the hotel room, just gave me a different perspective. So I'm kind of going to take skate a little dark, because if you've seen some of the pieces in which you have, it was a little bright, but let's throw a little golf in there. Why not? Just a tad bit, not just a little bit. Just a little bit of golf with the skate.
Those last minute changes, honey. Those last minute changes are sometimes the best.
I'm telling you, I just had to. I mean, you know, like I was in the moment. I was in the moment.
There we go.
Let me go ahead and get these little couple minutes out while y'all talking.
Oh my gosh. So when I walk on stage tomorrow, you're going to put a little thing on me, and I'm just going to. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like I said, I have a whole bunch of new ones, so, you know.
Honey, I feel like Lavelle is shopping right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He will. I
I love
I feel
wearing
like
runway
Lavelle would
pieces.
like the gold ones. It's something
Yeah,
about you that says you would like the gold ones. Yeah.
I love gold.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you guys so much for doing this. I know we lost Gary, I think, for connection reasons. Thanks, Vicki. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. This was, I think, a really important conversation to bring industry professionals to not just chat about their businesses, but you'll see that there's so many commonalities with challenges, opportunities, and scaling and business growth. Regardless of the type of business you are, we do see a lot of the same challenges. And I think talking about it with others that maybe are aspiring to be in the seats that we're in right now is really important. So, so thank you all for joining us. Aditi, would you like to throw up the video here as we kind of finalize? But we want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you so much to our panel members. And if you are interested in watching the virtual show tomorrow, fashionweekcolumbus.org. Again, the tickets go toward the nonprofit, fashionweekcolumbus.org. We are playing at 8 p.m. tomorrow at the Drive-In at Easton, or you can watch from the comfort of your home. So thank you all so much for being here, and have an amazing night.
Thank you.
Thank you.